All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Inquiring Minds. I'm Steve Harper, and with me is my amazing co host, Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you today?
I'm great. And how are you doing?
I am great. I am always great when I get to see you and we get to have these conversations. So I'm excited to jump in. What are we talking about today?
So it's a Tony Robbins quote that came to my attention in some of the work I'm doing with a medical team. And it's not about the goal, it's about growing to become the person that can accomplish that goal.
Mm,
And that
I like,
really resonated with me. I've been sort of mulling it over.
yeah,
What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I think there is, it's bigger than the goal. My first impression when you shared it is, it's getting you to think about where you are, what you're doing, not just the end game of accomplishing the goal, but really what, accomplishing that goal is going to mean to you as the individual. What's that going to do to your growth? What's it going to do to your confidence? What's it going to do to your business and to your team? I think at the end of the day, it are you worthy of accomplishing that goal? I really think is kind of the genesis behind that. And we know the answer is yes and should be, met with positivity, obviously, but it does say, it does require that person kind of look back and have a little bit of an introspective approach about how they might want to, what they feel or what that sense of accomplishment will mean to them, what it'll do for their growth if they do make that goal possible.
So, it's almost building on what we talked about last week,
Yep.
right? We're not the negative thoughts until we let ourselves be.
Yep.
And so are we the person that can achieve that goal? So multiple perspectives of that, right? It's, are we stopping ourselves from achieving the goal? Are we putting roadblocks up because we're protecting ourselves?
Because that negative thinking we talked about. Yeah.
That's right. Are we raising ourselves up to a higher standard so we could set a goal that will keep us moving and moving forward, hopefully not
Yeah.
slipping backwards? So that's, so I want to be very careful in my framing. um, so it's about, who are we first, and what are the goals are we setting second, that enables us to be all of who we are and more of who we are,
No.
because that's what a goal ultimately does, right? It helps us stretch, grow, learn, move, whatever. So it encompasses all of who we are and allows us to become more of who we are.
Yeah. I like that. We talked about it several episodes back about achieving for the sake of achieving, right? Just, people, and then what's next? They don't take the time to enjoy the success of what they have already accomplished. They're already on to the next mountaintop, trying to focus on the next thing. And I think this actually creates that opportunity for that pregnant pause to really fully engage and live what this process is. And I think for at least how I would take it, by doing that, you're going to enjoy those successes just a little bit more when they do happen. And the potential for you to push yourself, to challenge yourself to do even more, and to
Mm.
make those goals a bit more loftier and a little bit more uh, maybe hard to achieve, hard to attain, but yet still committing yourself to be, that's the kind of person I want to be. I want to be able to get to this level. I want to be able to accomplish and do this. That has such tremendous positivity to your overall confidence and your psyche, and your self-confidence, and the awareness that you're putting behind everything you're doing in order to achieve whatever that is. I think that there's a huge amount of growth that takes place when you can actually stop and sort of enjoy the journey of achievement to that goal. And by pushing yourself, what am I going to feel about myself when I get there? Right. And I think there's a lot of value there. I was thinking about, have read a couple of books on tackling the Appalachian Trail here in the U.S. and some of the very unique stories that some of these people, start off their journey. Many of them are either lost or somewhat challenged in their lives when they start this, trying to find something. They're searching for something, but they don't really know what it is. And
Mhm.
many of them do. And they know that at the end of the day, for me to accomplish, tackling such a monumental feat over such a long period of time, that they're going to be forever. They will never come back to being the same person they were when they started the journey. That they're going to be stronger. They're more capable. They're more self-reliant and self-efficient, and they're have had this experience and opportunity to have this ongoing conversation and dialogue with themselves, and in this state of solitude, that there's so much growth there. And it's really been interesting and fascinating to me to see just how different it makes several of those people, because the journey itself built them into the people that they really wanted to be at the end of the day. The goal was important: finish the trail, make it, without getting hurt or eaten by a bear or whatever the situation is. But at the end of the day, it's like who I am at the beginning is not going to even be a close reflection of who I'll be at the end.
That's right. That's exactly right. And are you giving yourself the time to have self-reflection and to look at what that means? And where is it taking you? Is it taking you on a path that you assumed that you would be on, or that you foresaw that you would
Yeah.
be on? Or is it a path that you never expected? I remember, it's sort of an analogy. Years ago when I was teaching up in Whitehorse, Yukon, there were two women who came up to learn from me, and we had some time off. They wanted to come with me to explore the area. When vast doesn't begin to say, it's sort of like what you experience in Alaska, but even less populated. And we were going on this road that we were going to the smallest desert in the world, Carcross Desert. I'll never forget this.
Hmm.
And on the way there, like, they were navigating for me. And on the way there, I said, I see something. I want to go in the other direction. And they were so against it because they wanted to get to Carcross Desert. And I said, no, there's something there. I want to explore to see what it is. And I made a right turn, saw some, shacks and
Yeah.
artists, buildings, like shacks where artists were working. It was October, so a lot of them are closed. And then I see this tiny little glimpse, and I mean tiny, of water. And I figure, okay, I'm going to continue going. And
Mm-hmm.
they just want to go the other direction to our destination, right? And I turn the corner, and when I tell you, there's a lake that is bigger than some cities. And I started driving around the lake, and we were driving and driving and driving. And you could see that we weren't even a quarter around after hours. Nothing around it. It was pristine,
Wow.
with the white capped, mountains in the background. And we stopped, and we just started having a conversation along the edge of the water. It was an experience beyond belief. Now, if I followed my path, which was going to Carcross Desert, and we did end up going to Carcross Desert later, we would never have had this experience that I'm still remembering. And this was 2004, so long time ago. And the vision of that lake is still embedded in my mind, and the calm that came with it.
Yeah.
What we do is we set a path for ourselves, and come hell or high water, we're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't veer off the path to see what we really need to experience, we do move forward in our lives in increments, but we don't necessarily move to the breadth and depth that we can by setting a goal and deviating from it.
Yeah.
So, again, goals aren't the end all and be all. Who are we within them, and who can we be if we do the goal and then something extra? Even if it's to explore this little tiny patch of water that you see in the distance.
Yeah. I love that, because at the end of the day, um, we get so fixated and focused on the accomplishment of whatever it is. And that's, to the demise of everything else, that we often won't take those deviations, or we won't take the time to pause and recognize the progress of the approach that we're taking and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and why those little momentary reflections are so critical, because not only do they help you enjoy the journey a bit more, but it actually helps you grow significantly in every way, and
Yeah.
helps potentially when you do it and you deviate from the path a little bit to encompass that whole trip, stands out because of that deviation. You had one goal and you ended up, sort of following a different path. Wasn't meaning that you weren't ever going back to your original destination, because you did, and that was never in question. But look how much richer the entire experience was, because you took a chance and you went off path, if you will, and explored something different. And I think for a lot of us, that is important, whether it is taking, a different strategy, a different tactic, incorporating different people or conversations into the journey of what you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to get there. And being able to do those things, open up those opportunities to have those experiences, really adds to the overall experience of what you're trying to do. And I think, back to what I was saying earlier, I also think once you get there, then you can enjoy the win a little bit more, because you can look back and see everything that went into that win, as opposed to just immediately fixating on what's the next goal, what's the next mountain I need to climb, what's the next thing. I just think in our society today, that there isn't enough of that self-awareness to stop and smell the roses along the path as you're getting to wherever your destination is. There's not enough emphasis of doing that, and it's so rewarding not only to reflect and look at where you've come and how far you've come, but at the end of the day, to also give yourself the credit for what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And, ask yourself, after you've achieved whatever goal you set for yourself, who am I because of it?
Yeah,
You look at, I achieved this, now what's next? What do I have to do next? Not who do I have to be next?
yeah,
And we need to ask ourselves those questions. Who am I? How am I better? How am I enriched because of this goal? How am I growing as a human being because of this goal? And what is my contribution that speaks to what I stand for
yeah.
because of this goal? And we don't have enough of those conversations.
Yeah, not only do we not have enough of those conversations, but we may not be setting enough goals that in that are lofty enough to have those types of conversations. We relish in the small victories sometimes, just because we can you accumulate small wins, makes us feel like we've, over the period of time, that we got a big win. But sometimes maybe the journey needs to be bigger, and it needs to be
Mhm.
loftier, and it needs to be not something that can be I always tell my clients, not done in an episode, right? The episodic TV, right? Not done in the nice, neat, here's what I want to do. Here's the conflict. Here's the resolution. And hey, we all, kumbaya at the end. And then we'll be back next week with another episode that'll have nothing to do with what the prior episode is. Sometimes you have to extend that beyond that episodic way of living, I think.
Of course, we don't connect the dots enough either. That's for
Mm-mm.
another conversation to look at,
Yeah.
we do something and then what? Or how is what we're doing positively or negatively impacting somebody else?
Yep. Yep.
These are
Absolutely.
critical conversations to have. So, stay tuned because we're going to have them.
A preview of coming attractions, no doubt. All right.
Here we
Well,
go.
this every topic that we end up exploring, I love. And what I've actually found myself, and I'll let our listeners in on this little tidbit. I've been going back during my trips to the gym and just listening to our audio versions again and again, because we have really had some compelling topics like this one that really get you thinking and kind of get you outside of your normal, sort of normal way of doing things. And, you look at things from a different perspective. You start to open up these, invitations to have deeper, more meaningful conversations with your own networks, your own teams, your own families, right? We love to take these topics to get you thinking and really focused on them. But really the value and the power of what we're talking about really comes down to, how do you leverage it? How do you take it out there into your own world and apply it so that you can start having some of these, inquiring mind conversations with, people that matter, and, getting into those deeper, really potentially more engaged conversations, I think can really open up a lot of great opportunities for you. So I've been doing our episodes, and then coming in and sort of challenging some of my team to have some of these conversations, whether it be at the coffee pot or, sitting around at the conference table before we actually dive into a meeting. And it's been really, really rewarding.
That's fantastic. So today is our 65th episode.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, because I'm keeping track. And that's a lot of perspectives, a lot of questions that we throw on the table, or statements that we discuss that
Yep.
impact lives, our lives, other people's lives, businesses, the whole kit and caboodle. So there really is a lot to choose from. And if you go to our Facebook page, actually, Inquiring Minds with Donna, Carlin, and Steve Harper, all of our episodes are up there so that you can pick and choose the topics that really resonate with you or what you're dealing with, and maybe get some words of wisdom or insight in how to deal with them. And we want to hear if you do that, because that will influence our 68th and 70th and
Yep.
75th and so on.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you do that. I do that as well. I go back and just listen in to see, what did we touch upon that we need to explore more of, just for ideas for future episodes, is also something that I've been doing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great.
it's
Well,
kind of cool.
and for anybody that has questions, this is unscripted. So we don't know really, what we're going to be talking about until we talk about it, which I
Yes.
think personally is the best form of connection in dialogue. And it's the great opportunities because we don't really have a prescriptive method in terms of where we're taking these conversations or where they'll go. And that's the beauty of it. We both bring such, diverse experiences and approaches to a lot of these topics. And I think that's why those that are tuning in and sharing it, which we want to thank everybody for doing that. When they hear something that they share with their team or they share with their network, hey, this is some good stuff, you should be paying attention and listening. It's an absolute honor for us because that's why we're doing it. So we are grateful. And like Donna said, be sure to go back to our Facebook page. We also have a YouTube channel. We know we get a lot of views over there, so we'd love for you to subscribe and put on the notification bell. We release episodes every week. Tuesday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right? I think, or 1
Yep.
o'clock Eastern Standard
1
Time.
o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah,
12
1 o'clock.
o'clock your time.
And yeah, so it's you'll always get new content every week and new opportunities. But we also want to hear from you. So jump on the leave a comment on the YouTube page or on one of the particular episodes that really resonate with you. We'll check those and certainly get back to you. Also at Facebook, if you see an opportunity to extend this conversation in any way, shape, or form, we'd love for you to do that on the page as well. So
Yeah, it's great, and we're going to be expanding on this. So we're going to look at going into organizations and having the organization share with us some of their leadership questions that are on the minds of their employees and staff, and we're going to be having dialogues around them,
yeah,
so that it's relevant to each individual organization. We want to highlight the shifts that this could bring to your lives and to your work environment, as well as the critical questions that are out there for us to discuss. So stay tuned. We're going to be flying with all kinds of interesting approaches.
we're setting some of those very lofty goals for ourselves right now. So,
Yes.
this was a perfect time of this conversation for sure. But in the meantime, be sure to check out donnacarlin.com, Donna Carlin, Carlin with a K. That's how you learn about my darling Carlin.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Donna Carlin and her great work. You can also check out my work at ripplecentral.com. But Donna, another amazing conversation. Thank you so much for this topic and all the topics. And, thanks for, spending time with me once a week. I love it. It's my highlight and I'm grateful and I look forward to our next one.
Same here. You have a fabulous day and to be continued.
Yeah. To be continued. Yes, ma'am. We'll talk to you soon.